welcome to an Everyday Canines video. In this episode on running contacts, we're talking about tight wing wraps away from us. So we're effectively talking about rear crosses. We've looked at when we want our dog to turn towards us, but sometimes there are going to be situations where we need the dog to drive out and turn tightly away from us. We might be able to get away with loose rear crosses a lot of the time, but look, we've got a jump set out there. If I ask for a loose turn and the dog takes that jump, fair game, because that's why I asked it. A tight turn away from us means the dog is going to come over this bar and they're going to turn really tight. They're either going to turn complete like this, or even they could even do a complete circle like this to rejoin us, depending on what we ask them to do next. First things first, you need to be able to do these with your dog when you're just stood there. If you cannot do this when you're just stood by a jump, then it's not going to work. Now, I have directional wing wraps. Check means right, loop means left. You could have a cue that means turn tight towards me, wherever I am, so it's contextual. And then you could have a cue that means turn away from me tightly. Again, it's contextual, so the dog's got to know your body position. With the fact I'm doing more and more distance handling and you're getting further away, it can become harder to have contextual cues, because you might be in a position where your dog can't see you. Supposing she's coming up that dog walk, I'm on this side. I need her to turn loop because she's coming back. But I know that I'm also going to rear cross that dog walk. Now, as long as I know that I can say loop to her and she turns left, that's not a problem. I can cross behind and pick her up. But if you've got a contextual turn, what does that mean for you? Should it be an away turn because you started on that side, so you're thinking, well, they looked and they know I was that side, so they'll have to go away from me? Or should it be a turn towards you cue because they might look and see she's rear crossed? Those contextual cues can become tricky. So it's just something to bear in mind. I'm not saying they're wrong, and if that works for you, ace, because I have those for Sparrow, because she doesn't do well without contextual cues. She needs that body position to help. But certainly with my other dogs, I aim to have the complete directionals. Right, so we're going to have a look and see if we can do loop just on the flat. So I'm going to be stood here, really close, and I'm going to hold her collar. And I'm going to say loop, and you went check. Oh my word, she says I've done a lot of work and my brain is starting to hurt. Loop. I saw her head turn that time. To be fair to Swift, this is now the fourth video on running contacts she's done, and she's had to do a lot of thinking. And I wouldn't normally have a session this long with her, because I do know teaching verbals, it does work their brains, and they do start to make mistakes quicker than when you're just doing physical handling, because they have to really think. So they do get tired. And I've asked her to do 3 different things. I've asked her to do Vivas, I've asked her to do checks. Now I'm asking her to do loops. She's really had the whole works here. Loop, good girl. So I'm making sure she can do that on a flat. And then once I know she can do it on the flat, I would be then adding in my dog walk, just like before. Now, if you've got a context-based cue, you might need to be here a little bit, so you're giving that context-based. Okay? Loop, good girl. Because if you're context-based, then they need to be able to see where you are to be able to work it out. I want to be far away, because I know in real life I'm not going to be near her. Start on the contact, so we haven't got to worry about the contact, and we're going to go, oh, you came off, my lovely. Can you come there? Ready? Loop, good girl. Just a quick note about good girl, about the reward. I'm rewarding this side of the dog walk away from me. I am not rewarding either by hand or at my feet, because I'm not going to be asking her to do a loop and come back here. Why would I? I would ask her to check. I might, if for some reason I might do a loop and then ask her to come along here. That is a possibility, but I certainly wouldn't ask her to reward here. So if I'm rewarding her here, I'm confusing her. I need to reward her away so she understands she went away from me. Right, let's try that with a little bit more force. Okay, loop. Nice, good girl. As I say, loop is her stronger cue, so this is why she's having a better job doing this, which seems harder, but that's loop is the stronger cue than doing the check. Go, loop. Do you see the mistake I made? I said go. That is bad. Go means drive, and she should not have said that. I should have said okay. One more. Okay, loop, 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 loop. Lovely. So you see, once you're gaining that confidence, we can move back. Good girl. We can move back. We can get ourselves out of the picture, and this is another tool, a skill in our toolkit that we can have for when we need them to do that. We might get stuck over here for some reason. Some judges will set a course where you have no option but to work your dog layering. There are a lot of judges who will do that now. So if they do that, then you know you've got to be prepared to be able to do that, and otherwise you're stuck. Hey missus. So again, we're going to gradually build in full length dog walks, extend the distance. Good girl. Change our position, and as I said before, then we'll move up to having rear crosses and doing things like this. They're all little stages and steps you add in to build that confidence, but this is your foundational level. And I would be again mixing this up. So obviously if I now wanted to teach the check, I'd be this side, and that's now a check, turn away from me, but I would do that in a separate session before I then start to ask for them in the same session and mix it up or put in goes. We want to make sure the concept is strong individually before we start to ask them to discriminate between them. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, you might subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram, and I hope to see you all again very, very soon.